Yeah, come on. It's Theology in the Streets podcast.
Yes, yes.
Where no topic goes untouched. It's your boy Louis Diaz, a.k.a. Late to the Game. And I got with me on my left
Jim Juggernaut back with you. What's up, everybody?
far right.
Got your boy Don Dada. How y'all feel out there?
And right next to me,
You got your boy Kurt Classic in the building.
Kurt Classic. That's
Yeah,
how
baby.
we do. TATS Nation, where y'all at?
Where y'all at?
Thanks for showing us the love. Listen, we drop episodes every Wednesday and Friday. You can check us on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. And if you want to see us on YouTube, see our pretty faces, you know how it is, check us up on YouTube at Theology in the Streets. Make sure you subscribe and share the video with somebody. We would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get our subscription up to 100 folk and little by little grow this out. Listen, if you want to follow us on our socials, check us up on Facebook at TATS Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at TATS_podcast. So we gonna get into.
Well, hold on, we trying to get to the thousands, not 100. Okay. Hold
on. Listen, we taking baby steps, man.
Okay.
Taking baby steps.
Humble
right?
beginnings. I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
new beginnings, baby steps.
All right. Go ahead.
No. Listen, I want to shine on this right here, man. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
All right.
I want us to get up out there, but baby steps.
Got
steps.
you.
You know, we can't be running before we crawl, right?
All right. I'm just speaking it. I'm just speaking it.
Prophesy,
existence.
right? We prophesy right now.
Speaking it into existence.
That's it, yo. All right, so today's episode. Ooh. Yeah, we about to touch on. You might get offended today. You definitely
Breaking
might get
all
offended
barriers.
Today. Not that we want to offend, but we're gonna touch on the topic. We're gonna touch on the N word.
The unspoken.
The N word, the unspoken N word. The Nigger sound and the Nigga sound. And let me just stay up front. Growing up in the hood, it was very common for me to use the Nigga sound. And we may say this in the episode, in the show, but just bear with us in context of how we use it. And let me just say that at this point, I've in my own convictions over time, growing as a Christian, I'm trying to refrain from using even the Nigga. Never use the Niggr, but the Nigga, based off of the history of the word. And you know, the reality is, not everybody understand where I come from.
Yeah.
How I grew up with, be honest with you, I grew up with a black community.
Yeah.
And I've learned that some people are really offended even by the Nigga. A lot of black people are offended by that. Mm-hmm. But where y'all stand, or most of us, like 3 of us, Puerto Rican, mixed Asian over there. Kurt Classic, married to a Puerto Rican, so he got a little something in him.
Honorary Puerto Rican.
Honorary, right? No, but where are you guys at on the Nigga as far as using it in your everyday vocabulary?
You know, I want to address something.
Okay, go ahead. Because we're going to get into definition, but I just kind of I want to get where y'all at.
I want to address something. And we do this a lot in the show. When we talk about, and I want to clarify this, okay, TATS Nation. When we talking about black folk, we talking about ourselves. See, we kind of like take ourselves out of the equation when we say we're Puerto Rican, and then Kurt ain't the only black person on this panel. We all are black people. Now, I'm not trying to get deep or nothing, but we can't be black for this and then not black for that. You know what I mean? If you're going to accept us, you have to accept who we are. And we all have African-American blood in us. So let's, I just want to be clear. You know what I mean?
Let me push back against you on that in this sense, that not every black people look at Hispanics with any kind of black blood in them.
But they're not educated.
Well, yeah, but we talk about, so on one level though, we still talking about the cultural aspect about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's straight racial divisions amongst Hispanics and black folk.
But you get that against black folk, against black folk too.
Yeah, of course.
Against all of,
that's going to happen. But there's still that there's still not that equality vision wise.
Exactly, and that's why I'm trying to break that ground right here.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not knocking.
Yeah,
that,
I know you're
saying,
not. I know.
I
No,
think
you're just being clear. You're
practically
being clear.
though, that's still out there.
And I'm just saying for
Yeah.
TATS Nation,
TATS Nation.
they should to know that when we
love
talk
you.
about black folk, we talking about ourselves too. So let's be clear, so people can understand the narrative that we're coming from with this discussion that we're having.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's first and foremost. Let's talk about that, because I have never used the ER word.
Yeah, me neither.
Because I feel like I'm talking about myself when that's how you know how much, like, even, they can say that, Hispanics or whatnot are, race, but no, that I had never even thought of using that word, because it kind of feel like, again, when the word was being used, I kind of incorporate myself. You talking about me?
Yeah, I feel you.
You see what I'm saying? So it never even crossed my mind. Angry, whatnot. Never even the thought to use the ER ever thought, because it's like you're talking about yourself a little bit.
I feel you.
Okay, so let me say that. So with that being said, I use the A part, the one that NIGGA as referring to myself and my peoples that are around me, cause just like you, Lou, I grew up with a lot of black people, mixed.
Mm-hmm.
The neighborhoods I came when I grew up in Rochester were predominantly all black. So I used the
Big
GGA.
ups Hudson Avenue.
Yeah, we both from Hudson, Hudson Ave, Goodman,
Hudson Avenue.
So I used it. So I would say that I use it as the GGA a lot.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. And I'm trying not to use it anymore, because being respectful to my brothers.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. So Jammer, where you at, man? How, like,
I use the A, the NA, the NA word.
NIGGA.
We got the NA and then we got the NR, right?
NA, not applicable.
Yeah. The GG.
I use the NA with just with my fellow Puerto Ricans.
Okay.
Because that's how we grew up talking.
No doubt.
All of us, like I'm saying, where I grew up on South Street, I grew up alongside the black community, and we called each other that with no problems. But in today's era, where everything is politically correct, and you meet people, black people who have a problem with it. And that's happened to me as I've gotten older, where me and my mans is just chilling, and when we drop into NA, like blah blah, yo, what up, boom boom, and you see people look like, yo, what's up, and then you be like, oh wow, and then you meet some people like that, and they tell you why they don't respect that or they don't allow it, then you respect it. You be like, so now it's like, I don't use it around. If there's other people around that I don't know, I don't use it.
I feel you.
Because I don't want to offend anyone, and I don't know how they feel. I don't know their stance on it. But if it's just me and my mans, we use it, and it's like a love thing. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
It's that's about it.
Where you at, Kurt?
Yeah, well, y'all know where I'm at. I'm not
That
for
TATS Nation, no.
I'm not for it.
No doubt.
And you never used the word growing up or nothing like that. Not the
No.
GGA either, right?
No, the GGA growing up, as a kid, you know what I'm saying, we used it until I was sat down and educated.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on,
How old you would say when you were sat down? How old would you say?
about 10, 11.
And who did that? Who
did
sat
that?
you down?
It was actually, it was a brother in the church.
Okay.
Somebody I looked up to.
So old school you would say?
Old school brother?
No. He would be considered old school only because, saying the age difference that I'm being, a kid, and he was in his probably early 20s. I would say probably his early 20s.
Oh, so he was young giving you that
Yeah,
knowledge.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I'm thinking he'd be.
Yeah, I'm thinking. A little bit older brother. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into the history of the N word, and doing the research. I think the earliest you can find the N word as just where it's rooted from. It's rooted from the African country of Niger, and it was, according to what I've read, it had a neutral setting. In other words, it was not a racial slur back in the 1500s, even earlier than that, maybe earlier than that, but it was just rooted in Niger. These are our people, and they are black, plain and simple, and that's what it referenced. I don't know, Kurt, if you want to jump in at any point on what you understand from this, because you say you've done some background on it, but it didn't become a racial slur until the mid 1800s, basically until the Civil War, and where black slaves were emancipated and they started to become free men. And part of the slur of using the NIGGR, because it was already referenced, even if you were a slave owner and other slaves would say it of each other, it was just a reference. That's a black person.
Right.
It's a black man, black woman. But the slur comes in where now you're free, but we're trying to put you back in your place. You are the NIGGR. You ain't really a free person. This is where you belong. You belong a slave. And that's where the slur comes in. And it has, to be honest with you, it's got so much hurt, baggage, evil, and wickedness that comes with that term. What do y'all think about what I just said? Or would y'all want to add on to what I just said?
Well, black people took a bad term created by, it wasn't created by white people, but it was used by white people to identify and demean.
Yeah.
And then do what black people do. I mean, they like are the salt of the earth. You know what I'm saying? They bring flavor to everything. They took that word and changed its pronunciation, Ebonics, right? And its meaning, and they use it in a loving.
But that wasn't right away, though.
Right.
So my understanding too, based on some of the research, like I read a thesis paper. Let me pull them up here from Shaquille Sinclair, and the title of his paper was "You Can't Say That: A Semantic and Historical Analysis of NIGGR and NIGGA." And what he explained in this paper was that black people, even though they were, this is when I say black people in the late 1800s, when they started to call, they were always calling each other NIGGR based on, black, but they started to use it as a term of endearment. That's like kind of the first findings, and it really pops up in the early 1900s, but no one else could say it though.
Yeah.
Even back then, that was just for their community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
And you was out of pocket if you was, white dude, anybody else trying to come around, they would take offense to that because of the pain and the white people using it as slurs towards them. So
yeah, it's weird, man, because when you deal with the word, when I first really started to think about it, like I said, after I sat down and it was explained to me the history behind the word, and really speaking to the pain right behind that word, even following up, it was always weird that that word aligned with a people group, a name of a nation, you know what I'm saying, that we know of in Africa. Mm-hmm. And then when I took up Spanish, when I got to middle school, I took up Spanish, obviously, and the word negro, I was like, man, that's so close to that word. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, what? You know what I mean? Like, man. So I always wondered, is there a connection there? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I never knew until, did my own research and realized, like, wow, so this is where that word derives from. It derives from the word negro and the word Niger, which was just a reference to the people group that was taken from, obviously, from the slave coast. So it kind of brought a lot of clarity about where that word got started. Because I always wondered, like, man, where did it come from? You know what I mean? Like, we know it's a bad word, if you will, but where did it start? Where did it come from? And so to know that it came out of that, it was interesting.
Yeah, and to know that it started off not as a slur. Right. It started off as just where they was from.
Right.
You know what I mean? But since they took them from there and then they brought them over here, and like you said, Lou, to let them know that they wasn't free people, it became a slur.
Yeah.
Right. Now, no one knows exactly when that time frame is, but that's what ended up happening.
But so Neil A. Lester, he's the Dean of Humanities and former chair of English department at Arizona State University. He actually has an entire course on this, on the N-word. And in an interview, what he was saying, he said it's so layered when it comes to the historical aspect of the word with the slave group of people that came over here. He said the reason why black slaves would call each other the N-word was because they were all from different countries in Africa. They weren't all the same.
Right.
They all didn't even speak the same language until they came to America, and English was forced upon them.
Right.
And in that broken English, they just referred to each other as NIGGR. But he said the layers that goes with that is just tremendous. He says, the word has just so much meaning behind it. Man, it was, it's an interesting interview he had. But as the word evolves to where we're at today, we got NIGGA.
Yep.
And that's where I think the struggle for, let's say, even for white people, right? Because they hear it in the rap songs. They hear it in just cultural talk.
It's part of the culture now.
It's part of the culture.
Yeah,
Everybody, in one sense, is using it.
Oh, yeah.
And we use it just loosely in our language. But this is the thing, though. So when a white person says and a black person is right there, like, yo, don't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they don't understand why not.
Exactly.
And then once again, this comes back to the whole layering of the trauma that comes with that word. But at the same time, the commonality that black people find with it.
Well, and then it's to show you the difference of how even white rappers don't use the word.
Yeah, they can't.
But Hispanic rappers, Fat Joe, Big Pun,
only some can.
I don't know one. You name one that didn't. Because Big Pun had a track. It's
a classic.
NGG.
It's a classic. That's a classic. You put that on and I'm bumping.
And he was accepted. No one gave Pun slack for that.
Right, like Fat Joe or Cypress Hill.
Yeah, no one.
And that's crazy because Cypress Hill is Mexicans.
Yeah.
And they gave Be Real a pass.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Mexicans is like the only Hispanic group that are not allowed to say it.
But again, but Cypress Hill are part. Where they're from. See, Cali is broken into neighborhoods.
Right.
See, we think it's all racial, but it's not. It's neighborhood thing. And there's black people that are in Mexican gangs because they're from that hood.
Right. Yeah. And his partner, Be Real partner. How could you just kill him, man?
Yeah.
He's like a black Mexican,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
He's a dark-skinned Mexican.
Very dark-skinned. So that's what I'm saying. And you'll get vice versa. You'll have Mexicans that's in black gangs out there because they're part of that neighborhood. You know what I mean? So it's not like that.
So is there like a hidden committee, right?
On rules
of black elders who be like, yo, no, we give them a pass. You can say it.
No, what this
you
is
see, that's the
you
thing.
can't say it.
I want
like when they crapped on J-Lo.
I was gonna say so.
They crapped on J-Lo. She couldn't say it.
We're not gonna go there. and we're not gonna go there. Come on. All right. So I see three parties. Okay.
Right.
You have the Kurt party. I would call it.
Yeah.
That they educate you and they see where it come from, right? And the pain, the blood and the gore that's behind that. And they're like, shouldn't use it at all. Not even my own black people should use it. You got that party. You know what I mean? Then you got the other party that has taken it, transformed it, and use it, you know what I mean, in a loving way to talk, to identify their people, their own people, and they use it. But they don't feel Hispanics or
anybody else should use
it.
That's a term for
just for the black. Then you got the third party that if you are Hispanic, you know what I mean, and you're black, you can use it. You're good. That's what I have encountered. Those three parties.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the fourth.
What's that?
The party of committee, where they have a committee and they pick and choose who can. Because they be like, you got some black people who cool with Buddha saying it. Buddha, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy.
I never heard Buddha say it.
Oh, my God. Wow, that's crazy.
I don't remember Buddha be saying it.
Oh, yeah, Buddha says it.
I never heard Buddha say that.
And there's some black people out there that accept it, that they look at Buddha like.
Oh no, but there's some black people that call Buddha that.
Yeah.
And that's what I had brought that up to Kurt, that if I see some of my brothers that I grew up with, right, and I had mentioned it, like maybe like Tight, Bird, Seaman, Seaguard, and them, right. That when they see me, and these are straight down south, from the south, you know, Titan them, you know, from down south. You remember who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Straight, you know, hood, extort you with no gun. They just beat you up and extort you.
Strong arm.
Yeah, straight.
Literal strong arm.
Literally, like big brothers, bro,
right
some big brothers, and they don't play. Like they just beat you up and took. You better have a gun. You better pull out quick. They beat you up and take the gun.
They bet you 350.
Yeah.
Squad,
Nothing. They're doing sets of 350. They're doing sets of They're doing sets of 350. So, anyways, you got these brothers that we grew up with, and I told Kurt this, and I think Lou was there. I'm not sure, but they use the GA with me. You know what I mean? And if I don't use it back, they're gonna look like I'm acting funny with them. You know what I mean? Because they got so much love for me. You know what I mean? So they're like, nah, you family. That's what they say. You family. But knowing, again, that's why I say break into 3 parties. You see what I'm saying?
And so you say that because, and I mentioned this to I think y'all before. Last year, my boy Terrell, I grew up with him. His brother was my best friend growing up, black dude. And he was in town because he lived in New York City now. Big ups Terrell Strickland, Fly Definition. That's his logo and everything like that. Nevertheless, he came and he was doing a little. He was getting his gear and he was co-oping with a TATS tattoo place. And he was like, "Yo, come check me over here." So I went over there, and the first thing he says, "My N-I-G-G-A Lou." Now you gotta stay, yo. There's a bunch of white dudes up in there, right?
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I didn't want to respond in the same way. You know what I mean? I think if we was probably in a more intimate social setting, I would have. But I like even then I was just like, man, I can't respond the same way. And I was just like, yo, my G, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, yo, my G, what's up? It's good to see you. Because it would have been, I think once again it would have gave this a different kind of perspective that may not be right for those that were there. And see, that's what I think sometimes some white folk, they don't get it. Like that seems hypocritical to them. I'll give you an example. Not Al Sharpton. What's the other? Jesse Jackson. He made a big stink a while ago about, yo, we need to demolish the word, N-I-G-G-R and N-I-G-G-A. But then he was caught on a hot mic using N-I-G-G-A.
Wow. It's hard.
No,
it's hard, man.
I seen interviews of them talking about it, and dude said, I don't like to use the word, even N-I-G-G-A, right?
Yeah.
But as the interview went on, he used it a couple times. You see what I'm saying? So I felt this. Trust me, I personally feel this pain.
It's not easy to get it out. Like, even, y'all ain't gonna lie. Like,
grew up saying it.
Because my wife grew up talking like that. And we've really tried to remove that. But sometimes
I call my wife that.
Yeah,
I call my wife like, yo, I do.
I'm calling my wife the N-I-G-G-A word.
So with this being said, can it be eradicated? It's so embedded inside culture. Can it be eradicated?
No,
I don't think it will be.
No.
Not if hip hop keeps using it too.
That's another thing. Hip hop
music is so indoctrinated.
No,
man.
because this is the thing. You got a younger generation of black folk that's saying, "Yo, that's my people's right there." Kind of what we talk. I use this as a term of endearment, and saying they're saying this. I ain't enslaved. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We got some issues in the hood, but I ain't that person no more. And so maybe it could be that they don't know the history, or they don't give respect to the history, but in their mindset, they showing love. They taking it and they showing love to other heads.
So, Kurt, how do you feel? With that being said, we're saying no, it can't. It can never be. How does that make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
Because you know that it's going to be hard, right?
Yeah. It's uncomfortable for me because again, like I was educated and I stopped. And I'm full black. So when I hear other people say that they have a hard time with it, and you're not even fully black, that bothers me because it's like, hold up, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Why can't we do it? But at the same time, I mean, you guys are my family. You guys are my brothers, and so obviously there's compassion. There's what you want to call it, like
patience,
grace,
and patience.
Yeah, patience.
Because you see it in Kurt's face.
You
You be like, one of these days, you're gonna stop saying
You
it.
gotta let the Holy Spirit do His work.
You know what I'm saying? So
I kind of heard Kurt say it wrong. Nah, just joking.
So I extend, like that patience, man. I'm cool. You know what I mean? I may grimace a little bit, but
okay.
You know what I mean? You my dudes. You know
All
what I mean?
right.
So
But how you
I'm
feel
cool with it.
on a global scale that we can't? How's that make you feel? That you know that it's going to be a struggle because it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Right.
So
No,
how does
no,
that make
no.
you feel?
Well, he said it's frustrating.
No, but I know that within us. I'm saying on the whole.
I thought he was talking
global
about the whole world thing.
Oh, I
bo-
thought he was
both,
talking about
both,
us.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm saying
okay.
both.
Okay,
Yeah.
now what do you
Okay, both.
say to the extremely Afrocentric black community who have seen the evolution of this world, of this word, right?
Yeah.
The NIGGA word.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, it was the NIGGY. You remember? You remember that word? From
Yeah.
like
Yo,
6 years old
no,
to
no,
like
no, no.
9 years
when you
old.
kid, but
Yeah.
that's,
But no, I think that was more
kids.
Puerto Ricans not knowing how to say NIGGA.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
Probably,
that's what that was.
probably.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I remember that though.
might
too.
have
Yeah,
been
no,
it.
that's what that was. That was a Jibaro.
Oh, that was a Jibaro
Yeah,
thing?
that's a Jibaro thing.
Okay,
That's
okay.
not a New York Rican thing. That's a Jibaro thing.
Okay, whatever. Okay. So you have the extremely Afrocentric community who took this word as a self-proclamation of cultural identity, right?
Okay.
And it evolved to this, right? Took it from a negative connotation to a positive self-reclamation.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, we use it, and we use it in love, and it's part of our culture. It's part of our who we are. When we say it to each other, there's so much. It's a packed word, right?
Yeah.
That word
Yeah.
is packed when a black person says it to another black person. Like, yo, you mom.
Like,
Or, it has so much
well, I mean,
meaning
Pac,
and substance behind
didn't
it.
Pac have a track called
Yeah.
NIGGA? And
Yeah.
it had
Yeah.
an acronym,
It
but I
did.
don't remember what it was.
Never
Never
given-
ignorant, getting goals accomplished.
Something like that.
That's
yeah.
what it- that's
okay,
what it
so,
was.
That's what it was.
So he and I think with tracks like that,
Yeah.
I mean that's where I think the black community that's hip hop centric, they embrace that, right?
Right. I'm
And
talking about the
it's-
Afrocentric also,
Okay.
not only music, where
Yeah,
they're,
I know what you're
that
talking about.
category,
Yeah.
where they're black and they're like, yo, only we can say it. And we
Okay.
love that word. That's our
That's
word.
yeah.
What do you say
Say
to
about
that
that.
black
Yeah, yeah.
community, which is a very large
That's
population?
and that's one of the
Also.
parties I was talking about.
Yeah,
That's one of the
that's the
parties.
second party,
Yeah,
yes.
second. So what you think about them? What would you say to that party?
When they're against you on it, right? They're like, yo,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
how you feel?
Yeah,
we
yeah,
use
okay.
that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
ours.
So
Yeah.
for them is again the way I feel is like, man, you don't respect the history behind what that word has caused as far as pain within our community. So you're right, that word belongs to our community, but not in the sense that you want to use it for today, right? You got to realize how much blood has been shed and how much pain has been caused and not that far removed. You know what I'm saying? We talk about like my great grandmother's generation, my grandmother, my father. We're not talking about that far removed. And kid you not, even my generation, bro. You catch some people at the right time, they'll slip up and say it to you. And I'm talking about white people.
Yeah. Okay, you talking about the ER?
Yeah. I'm talking about the ER. So when we say, okay, we took it and we made it ours, nah, I'm not feeling that.
So
Let it be what it is. Just let it stay where it is, man.
So you make them both synonymous as ER
Yes.
and
Hey.
GGA.
Yeah.
Where there are some who saying they're two different words.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some
No,
that say
I get-
those are two
because
they're not the same.
Because of what they intend to mean behind it, I guess.
hear you, yeah.
Right. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yo, we have so many other words
Yeah.
in the English language that we can attribute that kind of
Affection.
camaraderie and affection
Love.
towards brother and sister, that we don't have to use that word. You get what I'm saying? What's the infatuation with taking something that's caused so much pain and wanting to? I don't get it, man.
Could it be that you're trying to take away the power it has?
You take away the power it has when you don't allow it to stop you from doing the things that you want to do, and understanding that, listen, man, I don't need that I don't need to say it. You know what I'm saying? So I take away the power when it's not even being said. The fact that you are afraid as a white man in this country to say it in the presence of a black man, I've already taken away the power.
I'm talking about other black folk using it to in other words, saying I'm reclaiming that word and I'm gonna use it how I want to use it, and that don't have no effect on me. In other words,
well then, if that's the case, go
power.
back to just saying nigger then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
That's
for real.
Great point.
Why play around with it and try to ebonics it, if you will? If you want to reclaim the word, then just say the word
and redefine it, right? Yeah.
Because really, what you're doing is you're taking it back to its neutral stance. If you want to claim that argument, that you want to make it back to where it was more neutral, which it just meant who I was. But then now you can't use that loosely now. Mm-hmm. You can't use that towards just anybody now. That has to be attributed to the people who came from that geographical location or at least resembled those people.
Yeah, that's a great point. So how do you feel about non-black people who say it behind closed doors to themselves as a term of endearment, but never say it around other black people out of respect?
Well, just praise God they never said it in front of me.
No, not the ER, not the ER.
No, the ER is never.
The ER is not. That's ever.
It's never. Yeah.
We're not
never.
Ever. I'm talking about the A.
Yeah.
I'm still not cool with that.
Right. So
that's cowardly.
Yeah, right. Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're afraid, because that lets me know something's wrong. Mm-hmm. The fact that if you got to hide it, you know what I'm saying? Then you know something's off.
So that's why you respect me when I say it, because I say it so blunt. No, for real. But you know, because no. What I'm trying to say, hold up, and no. This is a real perspective here.
Yeah,
I say it without. Like thinking. I own it, you know what I mean? Meaning I'm calling myself. You know, I'll be saying I'm talking about myself. You know that. A lot of times I'm talking about myself, and you know I'm referring to myself, but I'm calling myself that, so you can see the innocence, kind of like right. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
And also I know where you grew up. I know the culture you grew up in. I understand. I'm not ignorant. You know what I'm saying? I see what's going on, so I can learn how you will see things for what they really are. You know what I mean? I know when he says it, he doesn't mean any malice behind it.
Especially if I'm calling myself that, right? Like, is that different when the person's calling themselves that, or no? It plays no difference.
It's different with the person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But for me, like the word for me is just period, bro. I'm not cool with it.
I know.
But I understand that not everybody means the same thing when they say it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not going to dismiss
There's no
that,
bad intention where everybody is saying it.
But I want to come back to this, but it's that time for trending on the
already
streets.
know.
Gemma Juggernaut, come bring that.
Man, there's so much news going on, trending on the streets, man. The world is going crazy. I'll bring it back to my man, John MacArthur with Grace Community Church.
Dude, love some J-Mac, don't he?
Man.
What's going on? I want to know
court
what's going on.
Overturned the ruling that he could have indoor church, and they just overturned it and said he can't. And they going back and forth in Cali. They going back and forth, man. So good luck, J-Mac, and I respect the fight. Another thing that happened in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. The police was called to come over to some person's house. A sister called, and the brother was fighting with the moms. And the cop came there and talked to the sister, and the brother came out with a knife, chased the cop, tried to stab him. Cop shot him down. Some false news came out on the media.
Are you sure that's false news that he doesn't have autism?
Yes,
Are you positive?
Yeah, absolutely positive.
Okay, just making sure, because I've read.
Yeah.
The headline said autistic kid.
Man.
That was the headline of the
man
article.
with autism.
Man with autism gets shot.
That's crazy.
That was the headline of the article.
That is crazy.
That's why I'm asking, are you positive the person didn't have autism?
Yeah, according to the Daily Wire, my conservative news network.
Can we trust the Daily Wire news?
Can I trust Jamma with it?
Can we trust the Daily Wire?
Can I trust Jamma with using Daily Wire?
I like the Daily
Is
Wire.
are they valid?
They got
Are they
some good
valid?
points.
Okay.
They be on point.
But they're
So
conservative
they said,
all the way.
yeah. And this is not really a conservative liberal issue, right? This is just a.
I wouldn't think so.
No, the repercussions is because Black Lives Matter started organizing and they started protesting immediately.
They are protesting in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Yes,
so,
they are.
So you may
over
have
a cop shooting a guy coming at him with a knife.
Now, was it a brother or was
Puerto
it a
Rican dude.
Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was a brother then. Yeah. It was a brother. We gotta stop that.
Not a
See what I'm
not
saying,
a
Kurt?
full
We gotta
brother.
stop that.
Not a full brother.
Oh, he
according
wasn't-
to Kurt. You heard Kurt? I know. He said,
I got something for black. No, I got something for that. I heard that. I know black. Yo, I got something for that. I got something for that. I got some. Trust me, I got something for that. I got something for that. Yo, I was just waiting. I got something for that.
Black coffee, no sugar, no cream.
I got something for that.
Rest in peace to Heavy D, my man. Heavy D.
I got something for all that right there.
I was showing grace on that joint right now. I was showing grace.
I caught that though. I caught that. And it's a great point because we could go on that because I agree with Kurt on that.
I got something for that for both of y'all then.
Donald Trump nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize twice. A lot of people say he ain't really do nothing, but he did some more peaceful stuff where he got countries normalizing relations with Israel, and he
that's big, man. UAE,
yeah, UAE and Bahrain followed.
Bahrain, yeah. Muslim countries. Yo.
Yes, and he also got some peace going between Serbia and Kosovo. He's normalizing relations with them economically, socially, politically, and because they were at war for like 22 years. So yeah, he's being nominated for that. Big up, I guess. I don't know. Does the Nobel Peace Prize have any weight nowadays? You know what I'm saying?
James in the Cut Jones saying no.
You know, Dave in the Cut Jones is like, that don't even matter no more.
Watered down, he says, watered down.
Watered down thing. Who cares?
Yo.
I was waiting for it.
Yo. Hey, yo, but let me just throw this in there for trending on the streets, man. Keep in prayer, man, the West Coast and all the fires that are going on over there. Man.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy.
A lot of people are losing their home. There's some people that have been trapped. Yeah, man.
No, just keeping the West Coast in prayer.
In general.
Yo, I got people out there that's not doing well.
I want to ask this question just real
mentally.
Just real quickly. Take it a little spiritual for you. How much of this do you think is possibly judgment?
Oh,
in Cali?
Yes.
The fires?
Yes.
I read that a couple times, man. Because they're so liberal out there, man.
Wow, I'm talking about the entire nation, though. The entire nation is inflamed.
Yeah, but
there's
been some laws and some
I feel
things that's been passed lately from California that how much of this could, and then the wickedness of Hollywood and all of that, you know what I mean? How much of this could be?
You on there, Kurt, hitting them right there?
Hey, bro.
That's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show.
So just real quick, I just want to throw that in there. This is Theology in the Streets.
Kurt went there.
Yeah. So coming back, right, the NIGGER, which, listen, man, no one should be using that ever because it is completely a racial slur today. But for the most part, the confusion comes in with NIGGA because of the hurt. So I used to do a small group at my house, and one of the sisters that used to come and visit, now she was a black Latina, and she represented Costa Rica, and me and one of my boys, we used to be in my house. We were talking like that. Panama, my bad. She's from Panama, my bad. And she was she heard us kind of talking the way we was talking, and she was like, "Yo, y'all shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Why not? Like, we boys." Like, you wasn't even thinking no different. So and then she kind of broke it down to us. This is where it really had me thinking about, yo, I really need to evaluate how I'm using this. But this is what I found, though, personally speaking. Older heads, and Kurt is like the oldest dude ever. No, but seriously, older heads, older black generation, they really don't pump with the NIGGA.
No.
That is like, they look at the younger generation outside of any Puerto Ricans, like they look at the younger black folk who pump like that. And they ain't feeling none of these kids. That's even from the hip hop culture and everything.
Yo, it was my first experience.
You said she was Latina, right?
Yeah, black Latina.
Yeah. But Latina, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Just letting that occur.
What was one of my first experiences as a young youth, at 23, 24, where I first noticed me saying the NIGGA, because I said it prevalently. I mean, playing basketball, remember, with the fellas at the Garden, at the Roxy Sports Garden, was the referee Austin. You remember Austin? Remember Austin? The ref Austin?
Yeah, I remember Austin.
Oh, the black cat?
Yeah.
And we used to say it like all the time, like, yo, pass the ball. Yo, and he used to make a face, and then he talked to me about that one time. And he was like, yo, y'all shouldn't be using that word. And I was like, wow. Like, I thought that was like the first time it hit me where other people were uncomfortable with this.
See, it was the first time it hit me that like an older generation saw offense in that.
Yeah.
Like when you grow up using it, man, you just like this was like 3-4 years ago. You know what I mean? This happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm talking about not when I was a kid. This recently happened, and I was like, it caught me for a loop. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And this is where I really started to try to evaluate, and I purposed in my heart to not bring it into my conversations. And sometimes when I'm with dudes, it just, the vocabulary, it comes out. You know what I mean? It does, you know, especially with my boys. But I think from a spiritual level, a Christian level, I could have easily been dismissive of her, right? In my freedom, in my Christian freedom. But the fact that she was catching offense from it, like in my house, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna say it around her no more. But even now with Kurt, like I didn't know Kurt caught offense to that, because I think I said it around Kurt a few times, and he ain't never said nothing to me.
He makes a face every time anybody says it. You see.
No. With me, he had to tell me, because I was just bland. He was like, "Yo, Neil, man, you know I love you to death."
You said too much.
Nah, he's like,
you said too much.
He's like, you one of my closest.
He had to say,
but you just
saying it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Every other word.
Because I just talk. It's just fluid with me. Like, yo, this is how we.
But see, we believers here, right?
Yeah.
And so.
But I respected where he came from. I told him from there. I said, "Bro, I didn't know."
But let me throw it in this way, right? To use biblical language here, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, Paul talks about he's responding to the church in Corinth, and one of the issues they had was the issue: do I go to places where they serve meat sacrificed to idols? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing? Well, to make it short in context, he said, listen, man, an idol is nothing. There's only one God, right? And there's only one Lord, Jesus Christ. But if my brother has a hard time with eating those meats, and I'm going to come and I become an offense to him, man, I ain't never eating meat again, right? And I think that's something as believers we really do have to take into account when it comes to people who struggle, not just even with this topic, but anything that they may find like, yo, that's bothersome to me. Yeah. Right? What do you guys think about that?
No, that's
totally agree.
Well, I mean, to stay on if we stay in the same lane, because you mentioned Corinthians, because I had a discussion with somebody about this before, about, you know, when you know something has been attributed to something evil, do you partake under the auspice of Christian liberty? And according to the writings of Paul, it's a clear no. That when you know that it's been done this way, you do not partake. If you don't know, then you eat freely, because you have no part in it. But the moment you become aware that somebody has taken this meat and sacrificed it unto a false idol, according to Paul's writings, you're supposed to say no, thank you.
Exactly.
So when people use that Christian liberty stuff, I'm like, hold up now. There is some black and white. Now everything is lawful. There's some black and white stuff, bro, and we got to deal with that. Now, are we saying that the N-word, does that fall under Christian liberty, or is there black and white with that?
Now, which one you talking about? The ER clearly no.
No, we talking about
GA. We know GA.
Yeah, the GA. And I think that it falls under, like, again, we have to go individual based, because some, like if I'm with Shannon is using it back and forth with me, and he has it's no problem at all. He's not even offended, not even a little bit.
Right. But even Shannon admitted, remember, he was over my house the other day.
Because of he's been schooled now. I'm just saying prior to that. I'm saying prior to him being schooled. And he even said it. I had no problem swinging it where, he said, it was nothing. Now, he said, if a white person had said it, he probably would have.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, like, Spanish brothers, and it's nothing. It was nothing. And on the practical level, once you said that you had a problem with it, I told you, Sakura, I'm gonna try and start.
Right.
And you see my efforts, even though I'm whack. But
Yeah.
No, but you see I'm trying. I be trying. You know what I mean? You see my efforts. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm doing it, intentional.
Yeah, for you, you try.
Yeah, I'm trying. For me, and I've cut down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that it's how Paul talks about the love too. See, when you have love there, you don't want to offend.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You don't want to offend. So if the love is there and you know you're offending, it's easy for you to say, hey, well, let me reevaluate myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what I do is I go strictly Ricans. Whenever I do use the NIGGA, it's with my old school Rican friends. Like, even if you my old school black friend, I don't use it anymore towards you because it's too negative. It's got too much negative history, and I'm not full black. That's another topic is Puerto Ricans be like, yo, we black, but we not really black. Because it don't hit us the same. Like when we get pulled over by a cop.
That's not true.
And for me, and they be like, yo,
that's not true.
Yo, this dude, they be like, yo, this dude is pulling me over because I'm not white. I mean, it don't hit. I don't get like outraged. Because I wasn't born and raised saying, yo, you were born into a systemic racist structure and they did this to you and they did this to your father and they did this to your grandfather, they did this to your great-grandfather, and then they teach you history and you see pictures of slaves and murder and rape and boom. All that don't come tumbling down on me when the cop racially profiled me.
So listen.
I just be like,
let me break this down. Let me break this down to you.
So therefore, that's why I don't use the NIGGA to black people anymore. It's been a while. It's been a long time where I just don't. I just be like, yo, it's my G right there. Yo, what up, man? You know what I'm saying? What's up, bro? But
this is why I did.
My Ricans,
this is why I didn't agree with what Kurt has said with the full black thing. Because just like his grandmother, my grandmother was racially profiled as a black, Hispanic. So she was even kicked out of the house and treated, because when she had an affair with a man, right? But since she was the dark-skinned one, she got mistreated because of that. To the point that when her mom died, giving birth to my grandmother went through a lot because she was the dark-skinned one. Okay, to the point that she was abused and everything. So when you say that, bro, don't come to me with that because I know
No.
But I'm just telling you.
No.
So you're not the only one that felt. No. But hold
taking
up.
it the wrong way.
No, I'm not because
you are, because I'm talking about genetically. I'm not talking about treatment. Within the country.
I hear what you're saying genetically, but just because you're genetically right doesn't mean that we didn't feel the effects of that genetic. That's what I'm trying to say.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You felt some of it.
Exactly. Like, just like you said. No, because you said your
Let's
grandparents.
clarify. You felt some.
Just like you felt some. You didn't feel. You was born when I was born. Matter of fact, I'm older than you.
But what I'm saying, as a people group, this is where we got to be clear. As a people group,
yes,
because this is what you
black people,
yes,
genetic black people have gone through it. Now, I'm not saying that no other people group has felt the pain, that the residual pain, if you will, that rolled off of the back of the black man. I'm not saying that nobody else felt that, but who took the brunt was that genetic black man. And then, of course, you had other people groups who had some of that too. And of course, we know about the Native Americans and so on and so forth.
That's my point.
We can go into all of that.
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah,
so
we can go into all of that.
But and that's what I'm saying. So like, because the color, but again, because the color of her skin
was dark. Yes,
was dark.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's all they see is that
exactly.
You dark.
They don't care about. They don't care if you was full black. You know what I mean? They see a dark skinned person.
No, I agree with
you know what I'm saying?
But let me throw this in there. There's a little wrinkle right here. See, for me, I ain't gonna lie. I even as a young dude, I struggle with my identity as a Rican. I'll give you the example. My grandmother was a strict Pentecostal, legalistic Christian. And let me say this. I had no Hispanic heritage in that house. For her, that was the world. There was no dancing to salsa, merengue, bachata, none of that. Wow. We didn't have none of that kind of music in my house. And there was no flags up in my house. It was none of that. Everything was Christ. Everything was Christianity. Now, we was heathens, but not in being raised in the culture. I didn't have any of that. So my culture, really what I was brought up with, was with black culture. I was brought up with hip hop. That's where I found my identity at. And so being influenced by that, I ain't gonna lie, I thought myself as a black Puerto Rican. I identified that way because that's where I found any kind of identity. But the reality is I wasn't. And black people made me know that. I ain't gonna lie, from a racist standpoint. They let me know. They called me SPIC. Some dudes hated me because they girls liked me.
I got
being one of the Puerto Ricans do, right? So
yeah.
my point is this, though, that I think you do have some of that goes on where a white dude who grows up in a black neighborhood,
same thing,
finds that identity with black folk because that's the culture he's in. And he's influenced by that culture. And though he's white, there's that identity. Yo, I feel more comfortable with black people than my own white people. And it's the same was true with me. I felt more comfortable around black folk than I ever did around Puerto Ricans. Now that I'm older, it's a little bit different. But even now, like, my wife like, you ain't no Puerto Rican. Like, there's foods I didn't eat growing up. She's like, you didn't eat that? Like, you ain't real Puerto Rican. And I catch that flat.
Exactly. And I think that any majority and minority, you're going to get that prejudice.
Yeah. Let me say this too, man. Part of the problem with this word, I think, especially with the older community, and at least I'm gonna speak personally to what I begin to realize is when you look at the word, even if you go outside of just the pain that we know the pain is caused and all this stuff here, right? But when I took evaluation of who uses the word, right? And then I'm looking at, okay, socially, economically, where are they? And I had to be honest with myself. That's not who I want to be. Because I looked at other black men who were successful, seemed like they had it in order. They didn't pump with that word.
Great point.
The inner city culture.
It's the inner city culture,
that has been, to me, it has been casted upon black people.
They've embraced it.
But I believe it was forced upon. It was a culture that was forced upon the black community. And because when you're young, you don't know any better. You don't see the trickery behind it. You just grow up thinking this is okay. Okay? And what I mean by that is we talked about this somebody mentioned it earlier. The major influence behind this thing becoming popular was what?
Hip-hop.
Entertainment.
Music. Exactly.
Entertainment. Now you have to go back and trace, well, who controlled that industry? And notice there was a certain look that was being projected, that if you did not come with that look, if you did not conform to that look, you wasn't going to get played.
Yeah, I'm push back just a little bit on that.
I was going to.
The reason why is because, so even before entertainment embraced any kind of hip hop, even the Black Harlem Renaissance, before all this, that terminology was already there.
Exactly.
And it, it was embraced by by black folk in certain pockets.
Certain pockets.
Pockets. I do understand what Kurt is saying, that the entertainment industry has
exacerbated it.
Yeah, exacerbated it.
Exacerbated it.
And even back then, like Kurt was saying, like in the 20s, the 30s, the 1910, the people who did embrace that term was inner city, low economy, low wage folk.
Yes,
and
true.
the educated folk didn't use it.
That's what I'm getting at.
And they were doing it to be. They were doing it to be rebellious.
And so now, what you have is generations growing up using it.
Exactly.
Right? And then the entertainment industry really brought this thing to light. Okay. And made it popular, made it fun, made it and now it becomes part of culture. When before, black men was like, oh, young man, what's up with that?
Yep. Yeah.
Why are you using that word like that? No, we don't do that.
You know what? You know what? Not only the music, but what form of entertainment really blew it up too? Comedic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes,
big right
Because
there.
you got to understand that's early 70s, late 60s.
Because you can say anything.
Richard Pryor. That's what I'm saying.
He was a big proponent.
And
of
then
Murphy.
later, he stopped using it.
Yeah.
No, but he was using it to be rebellious. Like,
Yes.
y'all gonna call me that N-I-G-G?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be that N-I-G-G.
And you know
what
it's
I mean?
funny because I'm sorry.
comedians of today, like the current comedians, they use that left and right.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's just part of their terminology
Exactly.
today.
Yeah.
Because
That
it's
was-
become so popular and it's so, sometimes, and this is where I have a problem, man, because it seemed like what has been casted upon the black community is that when something is taboo, just let the black people take it. They'll make it fun. They'll make it, as long as the black people take it and make, you know what I'm saying, like the sagging of the pants.
Mm-hmm.
We all know where that came from. But once the black community starts sagging, guess what? Oh, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we take those things that are the base of our culture, and somehow now because we do it, it's supposed to be, it's fun, it's cool, and I'm like, that part is what bothers me. So when I looked at that and I just noticed that, man, wait a minute, the people who use this, man, that's not the true representation of our culture.
Exactly.
And that's one of the main reasons why I have a problem with it, is because that's not a true representation of black history.
Exactly.
And look at the things that they're sticking on black culture today.
Oh, homosexuality.
See that?
That's the
Transgenderism.
big-
You see
that's-
that?
yeah,
They
yeah.
piggyback.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to make it a
yeah.
black thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
In other words, it's y'all fault.
Vody Bachman? Voody Bachman?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
his name?
Vody Bachman.
You saw that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
He
That's
says,
my dude. I like-
is gay the new black? He
Yeah.
got a sermon.
Yeah, he got a
Oh,
sermon.
I
fire.
gotta listen to that.
Yeah,
Fire.
yeah, you got to listen to it, bro.
Now,
gotta listen to
listen.
that.
Now, what do we do about this?
I
What
don't-
can be done
Listen, man,
about
I'm gonna
this?
be honest. I don't know if we can do anything. I think it's just like you said.
It's
It's going to have to be
education.
an individualized thing.
Yeah.
Each one
And
teach one.
As believers, I
Each
think
one
we just
teach
have to
one, yeah.
educate each other. And like you said earlier about love, notice, man, it's got to go both ways. So even though you guys love me enough to recognize that, okay, Kurt not cool with it, so I'm going to attempt to do what I can not to say it around Kurt. But notice also, Kurt never came at y'all like,
Yeah, he never said nothing to
I
me.
never came at y'all.
I didn't even know that.
Oh man, never.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm showing love. Like I understand my brothers. I know where y'all come from. So it'll come up. There's certain things that you don't even have to address. It eventually, if we hang around long enough, it'll come up.
Or you saying an individual based too? People, right? It's
Exactly.
gonna come
You know what I'm
up.
saying? Because if you really not cool, if we weren't boys like that,
Oh, you been with have said something. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have said nothing to you because we're not close enough for me to say
I
nothing
got
to
you.
you.
I got
You know
you.
what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when do I ever really interact with you to care enough? You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me check this dude. But the fact that we're like family, it comes up naturally.
Yep.
Naturally, it'll come up. Man, you know what, Kurt? I noticed that you don't use the word. I noticed that, man, it seems like every time somebody say it, you got a funny look. Okay, that's my opportunity.
Yeah.
And then it may catch you off guard, but it catch you off guard because, again, I'm extending grace. I'm extending understanding. I know where y'all coming from. Now, if I felt that there was some vitriol behind it, then, yeah, I would have been checked you a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? But because I know where y'all come from, you know what I'm saying, you got to be sensible, man. You got to be sensible. And love has to be extended both ways.
Yeah.
Listen,
good one.
I don't know what
It's a good one.
I guess educate each other on it. And when you do see some type of some people approach you, but on a love tip, they're approaching you with decency. Hear them out. Hear what they got to say, and if you're offending somebody, you really have to do a self-examination and see if you want to offend people in that manner without even knowing it. Sometimes, So
Yeah.
you're right. The hip hop culture, it's not. It don't look like it's gonna stop anytime. The hip hop culture,
it's
bro.
not gonna stop.
They
It's
see
not
it
gonna
as
stop.
two different words.
Yeah.
From ER to GA. And the reality is, I think once again, this comes back because we're believers, and that's different in the world. I think we have to be more mindful of how we deal with one another, and also just deal with other men out there that listen. It could always be an opportunity to share Christ too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? In other words, I don't use that no more Because I know you talk about your peoples, right? If you don't use it with them, they can be like, yo, what's this?
Exactly. They're going to be like, what's wrong
Flip
with you?
that. Switch that. Use it for something positive.
It's
you
a
know
testimony.
What I mean? So,
I want to pose this question.
You're going to have some people that be like, yo, that brother on your show tripping. Tell your man, wait. He grew up in the Rondequoit or something, man. I'm going to hear that. Trust me, I'm going to hear it.
I grew up on Avenue A in Clinton, right? Avenue A in Clinton.
Yo, Kurt a different breed, man. Yo, he got something. He got a different DNA in him. You know what I'm telling you. Nah, big ups to Big Kurt here.
But let me pose a question to y'all. All right, Lou, you brought up the word earlier.
Exacerbate.
No, not that one.
The disparities of it. Oh, my bad.
The word that's used to it's vulgar for Hispanic people.
SPIC. Yes.
Yeah.
I see.
Could you put an A at the end of that and it be okay?
What's up, Spicker?
Yeah.
It don't sound as dope.
Nah.
Not even that. I was gonna say that word don't even offend me.
But you're a different case. You're a different case.
It's never had any power over me.
When it's once again,
it depends
comes
on where,
context
exactly.
and who's saying it and how they using it.
Yeah.
Yo, because not only did I catch flack from black folk, I caught flack from some Italian. I don't know if you remember the corner Seneca and where Seneca turns to Joseph. There used to be a auto body shop there, and there was an Italian auto body shop. They owned that joint. And I remember me and my pops up and went in there, and he wanted to get something fixed to the car. And I walk in, and I'm a kid. I'm like 8, 9 years old, and the owner's like, "Yo, tell that Spick to move his car."
Whoa.
I walk out like, "Your dad, we gotta go, man. We can't be up in here."
Exactly.
And he was like, "Why?"
They
Like, and I didn't want to tell my dad because my dad will fly off the handle. I was like, "They pack. They busy. They pack." He was like, "All right, let's go somewhere else."
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't never told my dad what happened.
Exactly.
Because he would have flew off the
and
handle.
I would be, see, Jamma, he's not a.
No,
if you call him gay.
no.
If you call him gay, Jamma has a problem.
Nah, whatever.
Start calling him
laugh at you
Teflon
too.
Jamma.
My homo.
So Jamma,
Hold on. Let me explain. My homo.
Yeah. Anybody,
explain.
what offends you?
Can
What
I
offends you,
explain?
bro?
Check
Can
it
you
out.
please tell us that? Because I don't know what offends you.
I've been called Spick multiple times by white people, black people, and Italians.
Okay.
And every time I've been called it, we get into a name calling contest. I'm like, I'm a Spick. Word, you big blah 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 bling bling bling. We go back and forth. Forget you big Goya being eaten. Oh, you big. And then I come back with bro, and we at it. I'm laughing. We laughing like and we become friends.
See that
every single time. Now to offend me is to offend my political stance.
Talk about Trump. You talk about Trump, you offend Jamma. There we go. Say something bad about Trump, and Jamma gets
into a
offended.
fight. We might get into a fight.
Yeah. You can't say anything bad about
conservative
Trump.
values.
Oh my goodness.
If you said Trump had a wig on his head, a fake wig, Jamma's ready to fight you on that.
Stop being sneakative, man.
And if you say he's orange faced, yo, Jamma will go in on you, bro.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, can't talk about Trump.
But yeah, it was a great question. That has no weight. That word never had any weight on me ever. It's like calling me you big head. Oh, now we busting on each other. You know what I'm saying? And I always took it like
you're
that.
a rare case, Jamma. You're a rare.
No, but I know
I'm
Puerto
sandwiched
Ricans.
between two weird dudes, yo.
Yeah.
But I know Puerto Ricans that if you said it, that's a fight. That's a fight.
That's
a fight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Because the meaning behind it, meaning the what they're trying to do.
It's just a slur. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're slur. They're trying to.
So why can't y'all take that word and flip it?
They
Right.
don't
Once
never
again,
did. If they did,
it don't-
we probably would have been using it. If they did,
Yeah.
because I know this. And it's mostly black people. Okay, they say Goya. Yep,
Yeah.
they say Goya. You know what I mean?
But is that offensive?
Why wouldn't it not be? That's like me calling you collard green.
I'm not offended by that.
Right? Some people would be though. Some people would be, because you're trying
Depending how you
to
use it.
profile somebody. You're trying to profile somebody. So when they say Goya, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to be funny. It's not about the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's the intention behind it. Yeah. We take it and we be like, and we said it. We Goya, you know what I mean? Goya being eaten, you know what I mean? We'll run with it some. Now, depending on the situation, if someone's trying to be offensive, you know what I mean?
That's yeah. Because I'm like, I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard.
And
Hispanic
Mita,
people refer to
Mita's
each
another
other like
one.
that.
Mita.
Oh, I hear y'all say that to each other.
Because that means look.
Yeah.
That mean like, mira, that means
But
look.
but that's offensive to some people.
No,
No,
some
they
people
try to use it to be
Oh,
offensive.
okay.
Yeah, they
Offensive,
use
yeah.
it to offend Puerto Ricans. They use it just like they'll say to a Mexican wetback.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's
I
very.
never heard that one. That's a new
that's
one.
very offensive to a Mexican.
Mexican.
That's very
Wow.
or a beaner.
They call them
or a
wetbacks
beaner.
because when they work on the fields, your backs are sweaty. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
They're working
okay.
in the fields.
All right,
called
we're gonna leave
wetbacks.
that.
That's
So-
not why.
No,
Okay.
I
David
don't
in the
think
cut
so
Jones
either.
said
Why,
that's
David?
not the reason why.
They cross the Rio Grande when they come into the States. They swim across.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Oh,
think
when they
that's-
cross the
yeah,
Rio
yeah.
The
Grande
Rio
and come into the
Grande.
States,
There you go.
their backs are
You're
wet.
talking about redneck.
Redneck.
Redneck
No.
is because they have a shirt on when they're working out in the field, and then the only thing that get red is the neck, the back of their neck. For real, that's why they call them. That's where redneck comes. Cause see, the white person with privilege, they're not working in the field. You see that? They're not a redneck. They don't do that type
Yeah.
of work. So if they have to do that type of work, they're kind of lower class of white person.
Yeah.
See, now we can't say the N-I blah blah A word, right?
Yeah.
But we could say wetback and spick and beaner.
But no, listen, no.
That's what I
He
was
just said
asking.
no.
I'm like,
Kurt just said the ER word, but because we're we're not,
Right.
We're educating right now, bro. We can say anything right now because we're not calling nobody.
Right.
You know
I
what
just
I mean?
I just wanted to point out how the N-I-G-G-A words is more powerful than those little small words.
One, you're right.
It has more dark history behind
because
it.
the history is worse.
Yeah.
But I don't say none of those words to nobody.
Yeah.
I know how offensive all of those words are. So I don't say that to white people. I would definitely say to Mexicans. You know, I will never love my Mexican brothers, and I won't say it to my black brothers. The ER.
so
you know what I mean?
so you would never slurify it, if you will.
I would if they did. If they did,
add that to the glossary.
Yeah.
Add that to the
Slurify.
glossary.
Yeah, that's a taxation one.
That's a good one.
That's a dope one. That's good. But Kurt, if they did it, I would. Yeah. If they slur the fly, no doubt. If they was like, yo, we that, that's what we is then. Yeah, I'll slurify it right with you. Because and then I know that they're using it, as a term of love too. The problem is they never slurified that.
So I wonder why.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's a great question.
No, it is a great question.
Well, no, I think
and who we have to ask that question to, though, Kurt?
N-I-G-G-R-E-R has way more history than any other
Exactly.
slur.
Yeah,
and the history comes with some real pain.
Atrocities.
Yeah, atrocities. Man.
So who do we ask that question to, though?
What's that?
Why is it slurred? Why did it get slurred? How did it get ownership?
To N-I-G-G-A?
Well,
Yeah, the A.
I think-
Yeah, the
Well, I
A.
think that once
N-I-G-G-A.
again- Yeah, I
I
think,
think that's
that-
where the
that-
multi-layer comes in, right?
Yeah, that's where the layer. Yeah, all the layers. Once again, you have based on my research.
Because again, this is great. It's great. Because
It
I
is
try
great.
to read on it.
It is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But within the black community, after their freedom, the notion that they were becoming freed men, they kept that language. But whenever a white man said it, it was on.
Yes.
Yes.
So that has not changed.
That has
Like
not. You're
that-
right. That
that
part
has-
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that part of
That
it
has
hasn't
been
changed.
the same.
Yeah.
But there's the thing: you still have within the black community where they're not using the ER towards each other; they're using the GGA.
Yeah.
And so, to some degree, that still is the same too.
Exactly.
And
Even
you
though-
had this group of black people who would use it towards black people almost like a slur.
yeah, they didn't like them, right?
They would refer to, let's say, ignorant,
Right?
right?
You're right. You're
Ignorance,
right. Yeah.
and label that with that term,
Yeah, like that.
with,
Like
or
a-
with that,
yeah, you're right. Yeah. Like if
So it wasn't a term of endearment.
exactly.
Black people would call other black people
Exactly.
to demean them.
So let me
Yes.
throw
Yes.
this out there, right?
Yes.
So they would say that to demean them. Would the ones that are demean use the COON towards them?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Is that an offense?
they
Would
uppity,
you-
and for them they in other words, you have two same colored people that are not from the same people group. As far as maybe social class, economic class, and you have that. Like, people who look, let's keep it 100, man. A lot of black folk that's from the hood, whenever they come across an educated, successful black man, they crap on them, man.
Yeah.
I see that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therein lies the problem for me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You're right.
That's the problem for me.
Just because he's
You know what I'm saying?
successful and he's
Yeah.
educated, right?
It's like,
And that black
that's
man's
what you
embarrassed
should-
by that inner city game.
Like Ben Carson don't get no love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's a brain surgeon, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Come on, man.
My man is
He putting in work. He
a
putting in work.
steadfast Christian at
Yeah.
that.
But
He
he
putting in work.
he don't get no love from the black.
Oh no, they
community.
call him a sellout.
Yeah.
Oreo cookie.
And this is the
Coon.
thing that bothers me is that your history is successful black men.
Ain't that something?
Again.
That's rich in our history,
Yeah.
bro.
Frederick Douglass,
We-
Booker T.
we
Washington.
We're talking about
Malcolm
men.
X.
We're talking about men who built communities. Men who listen. There's a thing called Black Wall Street.
Exactly.
You don't get that without successful black people.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So to look at that and say, "Oh, you a sellout?" Oh, wait, no. What you're not realizing is this is your history, bro. That when we got free, that's exactly what we did, bro. We got free. We did our own thing, and we were successful with it.
Yeah, that's like a whole.
Yeah, it's a whole- yeah.
That's a whole nother show.
That's another topic
that
right there. Yeah.
word, because I mean that's serious, man. I see that. I see
that.
that from as someone looking from the outside
That's-
in dealing with black community. Like there's some dudes that really do not like any kind of educated people, and for them they see them as uppity and like, yo, you know, they use the coon word on them, you know,
Exactly.
or Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying, and they ain't did nothing. They just
And listen-
they went and put the work in.
And the people I've encountered, the black people, if you use the COON word, that's just as bad as the
Oh
ER.
yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They about like they right there equal
yeah.
almost,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
they
yes.
almost equal right there.
Get upset, yeah.
Yeah, for real. I've seen that. Like you can't use none of those. That yeah, they right there equal with each other.
Right. So if inner city G'd out dude called Ben Carson that, Ben Carson would probably lose his head, right?
Well, I mean, he seems like a level-headed
I'm
person.
talking about another inner city call another inner city. Even if you they like yo,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah,
call it
yeah,
that's
yeah,
bad.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just as bad as saying the other one. Yeah. So
They get upset quick.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But see, that's part of the re-education, man. We need to re-educate our brothers. That you see, if that person, like you said, we come from success, so it should not be, ironic that black people are successful. You
Yeah,
shouldn't
man.
look at it like
Or
that.
wanna be successful.
Or look
That's
at
what
it like
you
or
should aspire
educated or
to.
educated.
Yeah, man.
It's got to change the mindset.
You know,
Got to change the mindset of the young people.
It don't help though when you constantly pushing systemic racism in every little thing. And,
That's true, too.
And I don't agree with the notion, and that's a whole nother.
That's
show,
another
too.
topic
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I'm
We
not
got a
saying-
lot for y'all.
Maybe
Yo.
extended
Station,
thought.
we got a lot
maybe,
for y'all.
Maybe we hit that on extended
Yeah.
thought, a little bit of that.
All right. Anyways, yo, listen. Any shout outs before we get out of here?
Hey, shout out to Wifey again. Yeah,
Yo,
man,
shout
she
out-
blessed the brother, man. She blessed the brother. That's
Another
all I can say,
blessing.
man.
Another
yeah,
golf,
man.
another
Oh,
golf
man.
trip.
Goodness.
Oh, my
No, this
bad.
ain't no golf trip, bro. This a couple of golf trips right here,
Oh,
man.
wow,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She blessed the brother. So big ups to Wifey.
Shout out to
Nice.
Chris Gonzalez. He loving the show. He said
No doubt.
he be listening to it. He said shout him out.
Felipe, what's
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
Felipe?
Felipe.
Big up, Felipe.
Shout out to Felipe and shout out to I haven't checked all the other places that's been checking us out. Other than
Recently, yeah.
recently. So shout out to everybody outside the United
Big
States
ups,
that's been
man.
that
Big
been
ups.
give,
Even in the States, yeah. Big ups to everybody listening. I just want to close out not only with our street spotlight, but I want to read a scripture here, man, because though the racial tensions are so real right now, maybe because it's political season, scripture tells us, man, that we are from one man and woman.
Praise God.
Acts chapter 17, verses 26 through 28 says this: from one man he has made every nationality to live over the whole earth and has determined their appointed times and the boundaries of where they live. He did this so they might seek God and perhaps they might reach out and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. And I'll leave it there. I was going to read verse
That's a
28,
whole
but I'm
nother-
going to leave.
That's a whole nother topic right there, baby boy.
Acts 17, verses 26 and 27. Praise God for that, man.
That's
God
a
is good.
whole nother topic
Yo.
right there, baby.
Listen, man, we get caught up in the color of our skin,
Exactly.
and in the history, there's history behind it. We understand that there's an aspect that is real, but there's a greater reality in it, and the truth is that we all bleed the same blood,
That's right.
and we all have the same God, whether we acknowledge him or not. That's a fact. So, all right, for our street spotlight,
Who we got?
Yo, listen. We got this brother representing, Chi-Town, Chicago, Illinois. And he also represents the Infantry label. He goes by the name THRE, but he spells it THRE. And he's got a song titled Chi-Town featuring Jeremiah Bligent. Yo, these dudes, Infantry label doing their thing, man. They got some dope tracks. They got a couple albums out. Big ups to THRE for allowing us to drop this track. And listen, if you want to follow THRE, you can check them on Facebook at The Real THRE or on IG and Twitter, I Am THRE, or on YouTube at Infantry. Yo, check it out. This is Chi-Town featuring Jeremiah Bligent. TATS Nation, keep riding. TATS crew gonna keep driving. We out.
Peace.
See ya.
The city is beautiful, gritty as usual. From the block to the cubicle, they cocking and shoot at you, knocking your noodle loose. Hot ramen noodle soup, cop being rude to you. Do you know what they do to you? They'll make a fool of you. They don't care who you knew. It's not about who is who. It's power as usual. Black or it's blue to you. Suited, unsuitable. Colors unmuted, then you discovered the Rubik's Cube. Suffering through and through, struggling through his school. Busting they newest tool, then tuck it to move it through. Nothing is new to you. You numb to the usual, and after they shoot the fool, they come to the funeral. I thought about moving too, and thought about you and you. Lord, what would you do? I pray for a move of you. But from the plane, as you look through the clouds, the skyline got you looking like wow. Chi-Town.
Another day, back and forth we work, we play. Sky so blue will turn to gray. Beautiful yet full of rage. I believe there's good in store. Though your heart is torn from war, yet still I hope for more. I pray to love for God no matter my feet may go, you'll be the first I know. The air I breathe, I roam your streets and pierce my soul.
The city belligerent, but many are innocent. Way back in the Genesis, they seen us as menaces, so it was imprisonment, keeping us limited. Can't even begin to vent about all we done been against. Work us like slaves, still don't give us no benefits. Put us in graves, still don't give them no sentences. And this why we militant, this how we deal with it. A life for a life, it ain't right but we live with it. And it's just the syllabus, points to how real it get. How do we get rid of it if we living in will of it? Nice I had kneel for this, praying they will repent, cause sin is the real offense to a God that's omnipotent. Scars that need healing it, targets our willingness, though it darkens our vigilance, won't depart from our pilgrimage. But from the plane, as you look through the clouds, the skyline got you looking like wow. Chi-Town.
Another day, back and forth we work, we play. Sky so blue will turn to gray. Beautiful yet full of rage. I believe there's good in store. Though your heart is torn from war, yet still I hope for more. I pray to love for God no matter where my feet may go, you'll be the first I've known. The air I breathe, I roam your streets and pierced my soul.